we talked about Malik Beasley on your podcast yesterday, but there was some news actually reported by Mark Stein. And I'll read a quote real quick for you guys. It says, sources say that Beasley will ultimately be seeking a deal north of the veterans minimum and would figure to command that. So I want to ask you this, Koo. The Pistons are allowed to pay him around $7 million. Do you think that they should offer him that $7 million contract and for him to be the last roster spot on this team?
I have brought up my concerns with bringing Malik back, and it's not about Malik himself. It's not about him as a player. Having him in the locker room is, he was great in the locker room. The teammates love him. He loves the team, like all that stuff. And he's a good fit on the floor, obviously. My only concern with bringing Malik back, and I mentioned this yesterday when we talked about this, is that you signed Duncan with Duncan believing that he was basically going to fill the Malik role. And then you signed Karras believing he was going to play, I'm sure, like 20 plus minutes, whatever. And then you bring Ivy back, who's taking up a lot of the minutes that Malik played last year. Again, you put all of that together, a lot of guys taking up a ton of minutes. So if you then bring Malik back, because right now they have a 9-man rotation. You bring Malik back, you have a 10-man rotation of a lot of guys, Ivy, Karras, Duncan, and Malik, that need minutes around the same positions. They sound like they want to get Jay and Ivy a lot of backup point guard minutes. Well, if you bring Malik back, that's basically done, because now you got to move Karras to gain those backup point guard minutes, or he's not going to really get any minutes then. So then your rotation would look like Karras taking up the backup point guard minutes. That's all of his minutes. And then you would split Malik and Duncan at the 2, and then Duncan. I feel like my only concern is one of the things that Trajan talked about last year is that the locker room had no drama. It had no complaints. Everyone knew what their role was, accepted what their role was happy in their role, and just wanted to thrive in their role. And that was one of the main reasons why the locker room was so great, and they had a great season. And I agree with that. So my only concern is if you do bring Malik back, does that raise the potential problem of maybe a veteran that signed here believing that they were going to get X amount of minutes, we're in November, December, and it's like, okay, like if I knew I was only going to be playing 18 minutes a game, like I probably would have just went this place or would have went that place. And does that start to ruffle some feathers? Do they start to, is it not as close to the locker room? Like that's my only concern. However, I say all that to say, yeah, I would throw it. I would throw the $7 million at. Like I say all that to say just because, you got a last roster spot. Who else are you going to get that's better than Malik for $7 million? That's
Right.
just a great value contract. So yes, I would offer him the contract. And then if that were to become a problem, if something like that were to happen, even if it doesn't become a problem, honestly, at the deadline, you have Malik, you have Karras, you have Duncan Robinson, you have these mid-level contracts on short-term contracts. You have a lot of tradable stuff that you can do now. So if at the deadline, Trajan's like, okay, I want to make my move, you don't have to trade Stu like they would have had to do last year to match contracts. You don't have to trade Tobias like you would have had to do last year to match contracts. Now you could maybe throw Duncan and Karras into a deal with a pick or whatever. And now you have Malik on the floor, on the roster, and he can just come in and fill whoever you trade, whatever. So I don't feel like it's as big of a home run automatic as some people are making out to be. I do think that part I mentioned earlier should be considered or at least thought about, but it's not enough of a big deal to where I would say, oh yeah, you shouldn't sign him. Like definitely throw him the 1-year, $7 million deal. He takes it, then you just kind of figure that out along the way. I just think that should be brought up as something that could come up down the line.
Yeah, Devon, you're crazy, man. Oh man, I'm not gonna call him the nickname you gave Duncan Robinson, but he wanted to know: do you think that Duncan Robinson would crash out if he brought Malik back?
No, I don't think Duncan would crash out, but I do think it's possible that veterans, would be like. I don't think any of the vets they brought in are maybe actually I don't know. I don't think any of them would like crash out in the locker room, but I think maybe they wouldn't be as happy or it wouldn't be as enthusiastic with their role if they did get their minutes cut, whatever. But like I said, I would still offer them the contract and be like, we'll deal with it later then.
Yeah, same here. I like. It's honest. It would be a good problem to have that many like great shooters on your roster, and obviously it's a coaching thing. Like we could look at rotations and kind of guess what JB may do, because when you start like getting into small forward minutes with Duncan, then it kind of takes away from Ron. And obviously you want Ron to be in their rotation because he was a big piece of helping the second unit push the pace. And then it's like, maybe there's some nights Duncan just doesn't play and Malik plays, or maybe you just ride the hot hand. I mean, I feel like it's such a great problem to have, because if you had Duncan Robinson and Malik Beasley on your team, that's a whole lot of firepower. And that's a whole lot of 3-point shooting that I don't think the Pistons have had. Shoot, man. Probably. I don't think they've had 2 lethal 3-point shooters like that in my lifetime.
I can't think of it.
No, I mean, I'm sure someone in the comment section that's older than me will probably just drop
Maybe Wayne. Did they have Wayne Ellington with Luke? Was Luke on the team still when they had Wayne?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe that, but they don't get it up as the same type of volume as these guys do.
Yeah, no, not at all. Wayne Ellington was like Blake Griffin's favorite target.
Yeah,
every curl or just
was crazy.
Bro, he'd be averaging freaking 25 a game with Wayne Ellington on the floor. It was insane, man.